So this topic that we're going to discuss, it's very interesting because according to the Vedanta school of thoughts and Upanishad in particular, there are many Upanishads and 108 main and 8 even more important Upanishads. So one is called Taittiriya Upanishad, and it is explained there that there are 5 levels of consciousness. I will try to minimize Sanskrit terms. However, why will I use it sometimes? Because Sanskrit, it's a very unique language. I don't know Sanskrit.
No.
I'm not. It's a very unique and complex and a very ancient language. I don't know it, but I know some terminology because I have to know it. So I will use minimum of that. And while talking of consciousness, I would like to expand, and just for the sake of knowledge, then consciousness is one thing, and sometimes people mixing up, they're not clear what it is exactly, so we'll read a definition by scientists. But also we have to consider that there's subconsciousness, which is not exactly consciousness, and there's pre-consciousness, which is most everybody, they don't even consider it to exist, but it does. We won't go into those directions because subconsciousness, it's very interesting topic also. It's that consciousness that we can control, because consciousness more or less we can control, and we're trying to do that. And my presentation today will be about that we want to elevate our consciousness, because according to the science of the Upanishad, there are 5 levels. And the first level, okay, let's read first what is the definition of consciousness. Otherwise, if we're not clear on that, we can't really go any further. Okay, so Wikipedia mentions that consciousness is your awareness of yourself and the world around you. This awareness is subjective and unique to you, which is a good definition of consciousness. Well, the Upanishads, they go deeper, and they say that the consciousness is actually a symptom of the soul. Because I know some people do believe in the soul, some people don't. As Igor mentioned, we've lived 19 years in Israel, and there's a term, Jewish soul, right? But Upanishads, they don't discriminate in that way. There's universal principle, and it's called soul and super soul. So those two we'll discuss. And then, of course, the consciousness is a symptom of the soul, because soul we cannot really understand with our senses. If we talk about our senses, meaning touch, meaning the sight, the smell, the sense of hearing, what else is there? The sense of the taste. Thank you. Yeah, we like tasting things. So whether there's a soul or not, scientists they did a lot of experiments, and they're not sure actually, because with the gross senses they can't understand whether there's a mind or not. It's the same problem, right? We all believe in mind. There's a saying my professor used to say, what is mind? No matter. What's the matter? Never mind. So mind is no matter. because it's not, it is meta, but it's a subtle meta. It's not gross. And we all have mind, but hard scientists, they don't accept it. They won't accept it. They say, no, we can't measure it, we can't see it, we can't touch it, we can't taste it. But it is there, because we, mind is our friend, he's always with us. So consciousness is not our mind. And in the beginning, I just wanna specify and make it clear that there's consciousness, there's mind, there's ego, and there's intellect. And consciousness basically means, there's a Sanskrit terminology, I won't use it, but consciousness means it's a subtotal of all of it. It's all inclusive. It includes the mind, it includes the ego, it includes the intellect, and it includes the consciousness. And it's a symptom of the soul. So today we're talking about 5 levels of consciousness, and interesting enough, we have also definition of 5 levels of consciousness by scientists, and they say, and it's interesting. It's interesting because on a certain level, it is true what they say, but we try to go deeper, and because we want to elevate our consciousness. What they mention here is that with the age, it elevates itself, but not necessarily. So I'll just read it for you. So 5 levels of consciousness are primal, reactive, willful, intellectual, and intuitive. So intuitive, it's the highest, and intuition, it's a very interesting subject, but we can be intuitively wrong or intuitively right. And those who practice yoga or study ancient texts, they intuitively right after many years of practice. But if you talk a layman, is that a right term? Layman means mere ordinary person. Not sure. It's okay. I'm from India, so Indian English, Russian English, it's a different English. Indian English is a different. British English, Aussie English. Canadian has its own flavor, I guess. Maybe a little nasal. I'm just joking. So anyway, if we ask an ordinary person on the street, they most of the time intuitively wrong. Why? Because intuition is a good thing. We trust it, but we shouldn't over trust it. We have to understand that it develops with a certain practice. We have to practice it, because if I argue with somebody, then I intuitively feel this, and the opposition feels that. It doesn't go anywhere. So we have to prove what it is exactly. So Taittiriya Upanishad mentions 5 levels of consciousness, and the first level, which is gross level, it's called Annamaya. Anna means food. So it's a physical level, and it's a basic level, and it means, because consciousness also, we have to understand, it's an energy. So naturally, this energy goes into something, correct? So for us, as a human beings, it's very important, what food do we eat? Because some people like, Mediterranean, some people like Mexican, some people like French, Well, everybody likes Italian. Everybody likes Italian. Nobody likes British. Not even Brits. It's like, right? And Russian, it's not necessarily everybody likes it. I've seen many people don't like it. But so first level, it's Anna. Anna means food. So what does it mean? Our energy goes into our body, because food maintains our physical body. So it's a grossest level. And according to the philosophy, if, and many are, unfortunately, if we stay on that level, so it is considered, if people, I'm sure nowadays there are not as many in Canada, but other places there are many people like that. They don't care about anybody else. They don't care about society. They care about themselves. So it's egoism, and it's considered immoral atheism. So I don't have any moral codes, and I don't believe in any supreme being or powers. I'm just trying to, like animal life, basically. If I catch something, if I grab something, it's mine, I fight for it, and I just eat it. This is lowest level. So this is the basis of all living beings. Means human and animals, if we are on that level, there's no difference, right? It is mentioned eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Human beings do that, and animals do it as well. Maybe even better than us, right? Some. Well, defending, we're good. better than many. Mating, not necessarily. There are species, they're really good in mating. Eating, also there are species, they can really, there's a term, I don't know if you use it, pig out. Is that how pig out means eat a lot? So, well, pigs do that. And sleeping, like say, there's a sloth or bear. Yeah, because it's a powerful animal, but it sleeps like 4 months a year, and you don't want to wake him up, because when he wakes up, he's like really angry. I mean, I don't want to describe all the detail, constipated, it's like, I mean, the guy is like really, you don't want to meet him at that, you don't want to meet him anytime, but especially at that time. So this is the first level. So naturally we want to develop and go higher. Although it is basic level. We know if we don't have enough food, we're always in anxiety. Yeah? So we're always looking for something to eat. So the next level, it's interesting. It's more social kind of level. And it's called pranamaya. Prana means life air. And also it's called moral atheism. So people basically, it's sometimes it's called groupism. Groupism, it's a group with the same interest. And why it is connected with the first level? Because people realize, or not even people, they're species, right? Like ants or elephants. Elephants, they protect their herd. So in that sense, it's very interesting that in order to get better, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, they realize we need a group. we're better protected. Good evening, welcome. We're better protected in a group. So for the purpose of gratifying their senses. So in a group, and we know that group pleasure is better than individual pleasure. Of course, there are exceptions for that, but we don't talk about that. So basically, that level of consciousness, they don't care about supreme being or energy, but nationalism falls into that category. People, geographically or by nation, they get together and they feel, yes, now we can enjoy better, as a group. So this is the second level. And the third level, it's a middle, because there are 5. So third means it's a middle. So it's called moral theism. So there's a morality, and morality, the difference in morality between the second level and the third level, that in the third level, in the second level, morality is just enough to get sense gratification. It's not from the scripture, it's not from any holy book. It's just, it just protects our rights, and it's society of rights. However, the third level, the major difference, it's a society of obligation. And if we read, Mahabharata or ancient text of India or Tibet or Egypt, that was very important. That was very important, that people didn't live by rights, because now everybody is screaming about their rights. Is that right? Mm-hmm. It's my right, children, it's my right, women, it's their right. I don't want to mention, this denomination, that denomination, everybody has their right, but what about obligation? And it's a problem, because I know in a family life, husband knows the obligations of the wife, and the wife knows obligations of the husband, but it's not exactly that. We should know our own obligation. So on the third level of consciousness, we follow duties, we follow obligations, and it includes everybody else's rights. So this is a major difference. So on the third level, it's theism, means there's a certain concept of supreme. It could be God, it could be, it could be any idea, doesn't matter. But it is there, so it makes us little humble, and we live by obligations, by duties. And of course, nowadays, the word duty, it's not overly popular, I guess, because when I talk to my kids, duty, it's like who talks about that? No, everybody's talking about my right. It is my right of education, medical care. So many rights are there. But who's gonna fulfill those rights? Means it's a duty of a parent that their children gets their right correct. So the duties or obligations includes the rights, but rights on their own, not necessarily. So that is the difficulty, and that is the major difference. You have a question? Sanskrit name for is Manamaya. 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 Yes, it is connected. It is connected with the manas. We'll talk about that later when we talk about identity, because see, consciousness also brings us into identity field, which is very, very important. I'll just finish the list, and then we'll talk about identity. And if you want, if you're interested, because Hinduism, it's it's very vast. And they have more gods than anybody else. It's 33 million major gods. When I went to India, I was like, no way. Because Christianity and Judaism, which I'm connected with, there's one God, there's monotheism. Although, we can discuss that also, how they present it, but that's what they consider themselves, and everybody else does. But Hinduism is like, it's millions of gods, and this and that. So, but the five major, so we can connect the five levels of consciousness with the five gods. It's actually mentioned in scripture. But let's go a little higher. So there's a level, and in Sanskrit, duty calls it's named dharma. Dharma, it's duty. So it's a society that functions properly. Actually, there's a concept of supreme, and their duties that everybody follows. And from very young age, everybody's educated in their duties. And as I mentioned, the rights are included in the duties. So it's actually very it's very well organized. So the next level, it's after the third level, it's very high, very high. It's called Vijnana Maya. Vijnana means realized. What is the realization? Of course, people have morality, very high morality, and they believe in the supreme. Their concept of supreme could be on the fourth level, could be personal or impersonal. There are two big schools, and Upanishads also, they talk about supreme with the form and without the form. Saguna Brahman and Nirguna Brahman. Nirguna being without guna or without quality, and Saguna being with the quality. So there are two schools, major schools, and if you wanna simplify Hinduism, those are the two major. It's either this or that. You believe in the person, or you believe in the impersonal. So that level they share, both of them, and they say it's Vijnanamaya, it's realized knowledge, and the realization is I'm not the body, and both schools accept that. I'm the soul, means Atman, as I mentioned in the beginning, and it's not just saying I'm the Atman, but they actually live by that. They meditate for many hours, they chant prayers, they study, scriptures, and they go deeper. Many of them are monks, because householders, they just can't afford it. It takes a lot of time and a lot of energy to study Sanskrit and to go deeper. So that is the fourth level. And the fifth level, it's called Anandamaya. Ananda means bliss. So bliss, and it's very interesting to mention that there's one of the major books in Hinduism which everybody respects. Doesn't matter whom you worship, everybody respects that book. It's called Vedanta Sutra or Brahma Sutra. It's 555 verses. Relatively, it's considered not a big book for that matter, but it's in a sutra form. Sutra means very, very. It's like a zipped file. Condensed. Thank you. That's a good term. It's very condensed, so you have to unzip it. You have to, and we studied it. Honestly speaking, it was the most difficult book to study. We studied it 555 verses only. We studied for 3 years, and my brain was really, really tense. because without knowledge of Sanskrit, it's really difficult, because all the explanations are of Sanskrit. So for me, it was a struggle. I did the course, and now we're working on the material for the, from a different perspective, not from the Sanskrit, but from the message of Vedanta Sutra. Let's see if we succeed. It's work in progress, but we have a methodology. We have people who do that. Anyway, so that book, one of the sutras, the main sutras of Vedanta Sutra, is Anandamaya Abhyasat. So the Supreme is Anand. And in another text, it is expanded, because Anand is everything. Doesn't matter who we are, we're looking for happiness. It's universal. How we describe that happiness, that's a different discussion. But everybody wants happiness. That's given. They look, somewhere else. It doesn't matter. I don't want to mention all the things that we think will make us happy, but man is in searching for happiness. So the Supreme is that happiness, okay? And then it descends to all those levels: Anamaya, Pranamaya, Manamaya, and Vijnanamaya. So he being this goes down just to uplift us. Then we can feel connection with the Supreme through food, through morality, through duties, through I'm not this body, through meditation and studying, go deeper into the study, and then achieving that. So the goal actually of human life to achieve that, because we share the same quality. Because in another book it is mentioned that he is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Sat means eternal, Chit means full of knowledge, and Ananda, as I've mentioned previously, full of bliss. So he is that, and we, being part of him, or that energy, if you want to say, we are also Sat, Chit, and Ananda. And he's unlimited, and we are minute. It is mentioned, it's interesting to know. It is mentioned in another Upanishad that the size of an Atman, or the size of a soul, 10,000 of the tip of the hair. That's how big we are.
Not so big.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. But by consciousness, that energy spreads, and we animate the whole body, which is huge considering the size of the soul. So we are 10,000 of the tip of the hair, and the consciousness, and of course yoga. If we talk Patanjali, classic, he says pranas, and medical science says it's by blood. So there are different levels, but we understand it's by consciousness. So we are conscious, mean Chit, we're eternal, Sat, and Ananda. But Ananda, we have to work for that. We have to connect with that. So the whole principle of yoga, being connection, we're looking for that Ananda. And he, the Supreme, being Anandamaya Abhyasat, being that always and experiencing that, he comes to all those levels of consciousness. Now, if we talk about identity, and consciousness also means identifying. So for those who are, and we can, this is actually practical, because the first part was just philosophical introduction, but this is practical. See, if we look, in our life or lives of others, then we see some people, physical condition, it's all in all for them. They don't care basically about anything else. It's the most important. how they look, how they eat, what is their, living room, what is their bedroom, like, basic good stuff. They're happy with that. If you talk about, something else, they're not interested. So this is where their consciousness goes into that. So we can identify that, okay. And of course it's important, but it's not the most important. Next category is the energy that I emanate, right? Happiness, or now there's a new term, I really like it, toxic people. You look in the mirror and see, who is this guy? so or I'm successful, or I'm mystic, or I'm organized, that kind of an identity means the energy I emanate. I'm very feminine, or I'm very masculine, or I'm neither, or whatever, doesn't matter. So that is the second level. This is how we identify ourselves. Third level, if I'm really, really smart. And this kind of people, professors, those who do study, research, and they look down at everybody else, you guys like, yeah. I mean, you okay, but it's not like, exactly, you're not on my level in terms of intellect. I'm really smart, many languages, erudition, things like that. So that's the third level. The fourth level, it's actually beyond body, as we say. So that identity is I'm spiritual. Means whatever people think about spiritualism, that's why I'm a spiritual person. Being in the 60s, 70s, I'm a hippie, I'm this, hippies actually thought they're spiritual. You know that? Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's not really. I studied that history, So I'm spiritual. I'm practicing. I'm doing things. It's my life. I'm spiritual. And the fifth level, I'm devotional. I devote myself to the higher cause, to the higher being, to the higher energy. And that is the level actually we strive for. So, are there any questions by now? No? You good? Clear? Okay, that's good. We have a small audience, so it's much easier. Yes, please.
It's a little bit not that clear. You mentioned among it's happiness, right? Bliss.
Yeah, bliss.
So, how does it descend to all these levels? I would think if I am or anyone, let's say on the first level of consciousness, okay, good food, I don't know, good environment on a physical level, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty, I don't know, could be very gross sense gratification, like enjoyment, and people do find happiness in this, right? How that level is connected with another?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Thank you. So the message is like that. The higher bliss descends into food. When you're really thirsty, do you experience bliss? When you drink whatever your favorite drink is, I don't wanna like provoke any like Coke. Yeah, isn't it? Or when you fasted, like for example, like 30 hours. When you experience food, even if it's not the food of your choice, you would never choose that. But because you experience bliss, isn't it? It's true. So the highest bliss, Because there's a mention also, it's a Vedic aphorism. It is mentioned that, there's a supreme ananda or supreme bliss, and those who connect with that bliss experience the same exact bliss, but it goes down. That without bliss, life wouldn't be possible at all. So everybody finds their own bliss in whatever they do. So it could be food, and people just happy with that. You say, okay, let's bring you to a new level of energy. They say, no, I'm happy. I'm getting my pizza, I don't know, glass of beer or whatever it is. I'm happy. I'm sitting on my couch, I'm watching TV. I'm glad. It is bliss. It's not the supreme bliss, but it is bliss, and it descends actually to be there to experience that bliss. It must be a particle of that supreme bliss. Same on the energy level, same on the intellectual level. Actually, intellectual happiness, it's it's very gratifying. You dominate everybody just because you're smart. You know that. And people hate smart people, but whatever the others say, smart people dominate. So it's a certain sense gratification. And then being spiritual, oh, you guys you gross. I'm spiritual. So it's huh?
That sounds like a little bit like ego too.
Exactly. This is also a good point, that all the way up to the 5th level, ego is still there. It's on the 4th level, it's very subtle. It's very subtle. On the 3rd level, you can feel it, but it's explainable because this guy is it's so smart, so you can tolerate, But ego is there. It's exactly to the point. But on the 5th level, there's no ego involved, because to experience the higher bliss, the pure bliss without ego, you have to give it up. It's not about you anymore. But all the way up through the 4th level, and it's very gratifying. It's very gratifying. You feel superior, and you actually are. It's a fact. Those who have mystic powers, for example, what was that name? The guy recently, Rajneesh Osho.
Rajneesh Osho.
Yeah. So he could do some magic and stuff, and then so many followers, helicopters roll. The guy was like, he was materializing. Is that how you call it? Sai Baba. Sorry, that's a different one. I'm mixing up. Yeah. He was like materializing things, gold, this, that, and everybody was like so impressed. Wow, this guy is like, he has ashrams, very opulent ashrams in India, and actually not only in India but all over the world. So it is ego. That's a good point. That's very good. So and on the 5th level, it's a pure bliss. So pure bliss in yoga means we realize there's a supreme entity, supreme energy. I'm connected through yoga, and yoga means service, actually. We don't try to dominate. We don't have any ego. The ego on that level is dissolved. It's not even there anymore. And this is, in our tradition, where we want to be on that 5th level. So the interesting fact, I'll finish, and then we can have more questions if you like. On the 1st level of consciousness, people in India worship Durga. You know, Durga Ma means material energy, because she supplies all the, you know, all the food, and you know, it's like it's called in English polytheism, right? Yeah. So they worship Durga, and it's really funny. Where we live, it's a West Bengal. It's a southeast of India, near the Bay of Bengal, where the Ganga starts in Himalayas, going through the whole subcontinent and enters the Bay of Bengal. This is the place where I live. My house is like I don't know, 1 kilometer from Ganga. Yeah. So in that area, they all, and it's called Shaktas. Shakta means from Shakti. Shakti means energy. So they're all Shaktas. They all worshippers of Durga. And they worship, there are many forms of Durga. 9 forms are the main, and it's called Navaratri. And they go wild. It's really crazy. It's really crazy. They drink, they party, they enjoy. So this is the basic level of worship. Okay? And the next level, they worship Ganapati. And Surya. Surya is a sun. So sun is for the whole universe, is the planet that gives light and heat. So actually without sun we can't survive. Some people say without light we could, but without heat we couldn't, definitely not. But I think without light we'll all just go into depression and just collapse. Because light means happiness. So they worship Surya, and there are 12 deities. Durga is 9, and Surya, for each month there's a demigod that rides on that chariot on the sun. So they worship energy, and what represents the energy is the sun. It's a planet sun. So they have temples, usually on the hills, and it's a simple worship, but it is there. So for that they worship sun. And the third level, they worship Ganapati, because Ganapati is a half, Ganesh is a half human, half he's not actually half. He has an elephant head, and he's the one who wrote all the Vedas. That's why one of his tusks are broken, because he took that tusk and he wrote the Veda with that tusk. Yeah, that's a first time. The first time I went to India, I was thinking, what are you guys selling me? The elephant with broken tusk. What is this, like cheating? And I actually argued with them. They say, you don't know nothing. I say, yeah, well, tell me. And they said this is, and then I read. So Ganapati, and Gana means group. So it's a level of Dharma, and some people, I'm just simplifying it because I don't wanna, it's Friday night. I don't wanna. But Ganapati is like a computer, right? And interesting enough, because he's half this, half that, and he's very smart. He's very smart, and he has 2 wives, Riddhi and Siddhi. So he has opulence and prosperity. Those are his. So many people in India, in the West, I'm in the East, and there's a west coast of India, near the Arabian Sea. They worship Ganapati. So he gives wealth, a lot of opulence, all the diamond dealers and all these kind of guys. So he's like a computer, and interesting enough, he's riding, because everybody has a carrier. In Hinduism, every god or demigod has a carrier. So Durga is riding on the lion, and Surya is riding on the horse. He's got 4 horses and a chariot. And Ganapati is writing on the mouse, so computer is operated by the mouse. Isn't it? So he is really, really smart. This is AI and all that kind of stuff. So he represents that. So people worship Ganapati. And they get their benefits. So on the fourth level, they worship Shiva, Mahadev. Mahadev is in meditation. He's married, but Parvati is on the side. He doesn't care. He's the greatest mystic, and he is completely transcendental. He understands he's not the body. He's always happy with himself. And then the fifth level, they worship Vishnu or Krishna. So that, or if you want, they worship Radha Krishna. So that supreme happiness, because Radha Krishna, it's a combination. It's a combination of male and female. Him being the supreme male and her being the supreme female. And their interaction, this is called Anand. So because Anand or bliss, it's also an energy between an object and a subject. So him being the supreme subject and her being supreme object. So that's the worship, that's the identity, and that's the 5 levels of consciousness. There's also 5 levels of cognition, but I don't think we should go there because it's a bit too much. No? Okay, any questions? Any comments?
So, excuse me.
Yeah.
So would you say that each individual in their own consciousness will have their own bliss?
Yeah.
Will have bliss in their own consciousness?
Exactly. Thank you very much. That means the message went through. Exactly. No, really. Because sometimes I teach, but people are like, what? Exactly. And the process of yoga, as it is explained in Bhagavad Gita or other texts, is to elevate your consciousness. Because we're already, getting happiness, but there's a quality of happiness. So there's a bliss, and there's higher bliss, and there's a supreme bliss. So we strive for that. So yeah, exactly, as you've mentioned, everybody's getting their share of bliss. Otherwise we wouldn't survive. Because Atma or soul, it's their food, it's their sustenance. We can't survive without bliss. Everybody says that. Bliss is what drives us. Thank you. That's really nice.
Yeah, just want to ask, so if someone is satisfied with, on the first level, let's say Anamaya, so what's the point to know about the other levels? So is there any interest in that? So because if the guy is satisfied with what he or she has, so what is the point to search for something else, to go to another level?
Yeah, it's a good point. Some people are like that. But Bhagavad Gita explains that there's happiness in the modes of nature. And there are 3 modes of nature: ignorance, passion, and goodness. So it is there. But since we experience a higher bliss, I believe, we would like to offer it to others. Now everybody has a free will. It's God-given. So we offer. If people like it, they can take. And we have the knowledge, we have the practice, and we have the tools. But if not, yeah, no problem. We'd like where we live, there's a corner of steels and butthurts. What is it? Street? Yeah, streets. And every day we do a power walk with my wife. And there are 2 ladies, different ladies, always standing with a little sign. And they don't preach, they don't do nothing, but I really appreciate it. And the science says Bible study, and they offer different kinds of Bible study, and I think, yeah, this is great. If you like, if you're interested, if you have time, you go, you study Bible, and it's really, and people sacrifice their time. They chatting, for a few hours in the morning, usually when the traffic is there, and then they go home. So yeah, everybody experience already their own bliss, but you want higher quality of bliss, we've got something to offer.
But what does push people to find something else? What's the point there?
That's a great question.
So
That's a
are
great
they
question.
Not satisfied with their position, or
Yeah, exactly. They're not happy. Because see, material happiness, you have to increase it all the time. All the time. If you have money, it's like, I thought, if I have this amount, I'll be happy. Anybody has that experience? Yeah. I was like, and then next level, okay? If I have this amount, or I have 3-bedroom apartment, or if I have a separate, or I have a townhouse, and it's like never enough. And it's like, I'm like, what? How is that works? So instead of externalize your happiness, we try to go deeper, because Anand is inside you. It's a quality of the soul. It's a quality of the Atma. But we have to work, because external things are available. It's easily available. We can grab something to eat. We can, enjoy. We can watch a movie. We can hang out. It's not that difficult. But to go deeper inside yourself and find it's empty, it's really scary. It's really scary. That's why not so many people are here. But since we're here, we can go and find that wealth that is already within us.
So it means that if people are not happy, so they try to find something else, not on their level, and they try to go on the upper level. Or maybe they want to go to the lower level.
Well, it depends on so many factors. Well, as I've mentioned in the beginning, everybody is looking for happiness. But according to your own nature and understanding what happiness is, like say, for example, alcoholics, they think wine is happiness. And it's their shelter. They drink and they enjoy. So if we can tell them, okay, are you happy? And they say yes, but would you like to give up that happiness for the higher happiness? And if they at least willing to try, we've got something to offer. Because see, for material happiness, there's always a side effect, like a drug, and the side effect is worse than the disease. The treatment is worse than the disease. I don't want that. Like COVID and stuff, people actually, those who, did what they did, they're sorry for that. Now, looking back, they won't take vaccination or, different things. Because consequences are there. But what we offer, it's the happiness generated by the soul. You don't have to externalize. But you have to be bold, because it's scary. It's not easy. To be a better version of yourself, it's not that easy. And to go in, internal for that happiness. But it's very satisfying, very satisfying. There's no doubt. I don't need external nothing to be happy.
But what do you think, so are there many people who want to change, because they are not happy and they want to try
No,
to...
very few.
Yeah, so
Unfortunately. Well, what can we say? Like our teacher used to say, he said, in a diamond shop, there are not many buyers. But we just passed on the way here. There's $1 supermarket. Many people. because it's cheap. But yeah, no, not many. Definitely not many. But those who are, you know, those people, yeah, we want to associate with. Yes.
So it's more or less clear regarding the happiness, right? But the sufferings, they also here in our life, in our material, they are the side effects of temporary happiness that we may experience on any level, right? So my question is, if ananda, bliss, is coming from the Supreme, is the same true for the suffering? Are suffering also coming from the Supreme?
Well, it's a big question. No, really. Every tradition has to answer that question. It's a question of evil in our life. Where's if God or Supreme is absolute good, where's the evil comes from? And remember, we mentioned that, we are monotheists. Despite, 33 million gods, we believe in one. So if there's no Satan, right? Or devil, is that how you call it? Devil. Where's the suffering comes from? So here comes the law of karma, and it's intricate law. It's the law of cause and effect. You want to enjoy? Here's the price. What's the price? It's suffering, because we all want the check, the paycheck, but who likes their job? For example, Alexander, he just told me he likes his job. But also, there's inconvenience. I wouldn't say it's a suffering, but it takes, so much time. So he would like to keep the job, reduce the time, and get the same benefits, but it's not possible. So
I have to pay the price.
Exactly. So what's the price? It's your time. So this is the problem. So the karma explains the evil.
Is it safe to assume, let's say, that level or amount of sufferings, when we grow our consciousness from lowest level to upper, the sufferings are less and less? Is there a hope that when we achieve?
Well, there's definitely hope. Otherwise, we wouldn't be. Otherwise, I wouldn't come from India if there's no hope, man. Why would I travel? Definitely, there's hope, and the difference it's not on an action level. See, I've mentioned it's the cause and effect. It's action and reaction. So when you elevate your consciousness, it's not it doesn't happen to you, the bad things don't happen to you, but it's how you react to that. Because what happens to you, you can't choose, but your reaction you do. So it's a whole science. So, and we have to practice it, because if we impulsive, right, if we react, and like dogs, one dog's run, there's not many dogs here, but in India, stray dogs, my God, always fight, they're like really in a bad condition, because they fight to live. So one dog comes and he barks, the other immediately barks back, and they live by instincts, right? Dog cannot like say meow, like I'm nice, don't bite me. No, he's dog. But we have a choice. Means our intellect is more developed, and we have consciousness. So we have to to think about it. And it's not that it doesn't happen, but it's how we react to it. So this is a whole science of yoga behind it, and it takes practice. I mean, basic stuff you can do like few years, but if you want to go higher, it takes life.
Do the animals have a level of consciousness?
Very, very primitive. Yeah, they're conscious, but it's anamaya. That's it. Eating, mating, sleeping, mating, different bus. Finished. No more. Of course they are. Because every soul has a consciousness, and we believe that animals, they have soul.
What about trees?
About trees? Yeah, also. If you look in the trees, they grow and they turn a little bit to the sun. So it's not even it's not only the first level, it's also second level, because sun is there, but they can't move, they're very limited. Yeah, of course. Fishes, birds, like that. Even stones, diamonds grow. It's a charcoal. Not on the fingers, but unfortunately, I'd love they grow on my fingers, but yeah. So yeah.
So it seems that as the consciousness starts to, let's say, awaken and go up and up, the less we need from material things.
Yeah.
Since we live in this earth, is it safe to say that we still need things that are of the first level, like the food?
Oh yeah,
tree,
definitely. Definitely. There's no conflict. Means we can survive without it. But see, there's a desire. I'm really sorry to tell you that you're the only lady here.
It's okay.
No, I'm just.
No problem.
It's okay?
Don't mind.
So there's a desire and there's a need. Those are two different things. Need is what you need. And for that, we always have for that funds, energy, everything for what we need. But desire is different things. So if we don't have what we desire, it's unpleasant, but we can survive. But our needs always covered. It's a part of a universal order. So if we want more, but it's not necessary, it might be there or not. But basic needs, like you mentioned, clothes and but it doesn't have to be fancy clothes. It could be nice, clean, and basic food. Like in India, everybody, not everybody nowadays is all a mess. But yeah, I'm really sorry to say that. But before everybody was vegetarian, because to store meat you need refrigerator, and it's a whole industry. But in India they just didn't have it, Or if you catch and just cook it and that's it, but you can keep it, So like that. So basics always are there. So there's a need and there's a desire. Those are two different things. But yeah, of course, we need shelter. We need family. We need basic things. Some kind of a vehicle. Like I have a bicycle. I'm happy. Even here, I got a bicycle. I just borrowed from my friends, and in India, I have my bicycle. I'm glad. I don't need a fancy car. Okay. Yes, please.
Can we say that every person has his or her level of enjoyment of this bliss? Like, can we assign people to particular levels? Like, for instance, you mentioned a scientist who would enjoy like being smart and like kind of talking to other people, and that this person would be on the third level, right?
Yeah.
But how quickly people can jump like from levels to level? For instance, the same scientist might come home and his wife would give him like his favorite pierogi, and he would be just like dumped to the first level. Is it right?
Well, karma, in a sense, it's a simple law. But because of our involvement with the material nature and each other, because nobody lives on his own unless we're in the Himalayas, meditating for many years. The simple law becomes, complicated. So we share the karma of each other. Like if we're family, it's all shared karma, right? So one has little more for the enjoyment, one little less. So the balance is there. But as you mentioned, everybody has their own limit. So there's a cycle, it's called samsara. So we go in like this. And when we hear, yeah, good. When we hear, it's kind of neutral. When we hear, it's really bad, then we go, and it's going always up and down, up and down. So if we want to get out from that cycle, we have to practice spiritual life. We have to practice yoga, we have to practice meditation, we have to practice, there's a third thing, it's called gyan. Gyan means study of a scripture. So that brings us beyond those modes of nature. Otherwise, within karma, yes. If you're born in a rich family, it's more. You can get educated, whatever. And if not, you can't. Your limit is very low. Or you can share with others. If you have good friends, they can invite you their yacht, and then you travel and enjoy, or whatever. It's when it's one, it's pretty straightforward. When it's many, it's more complex. But basically, it is what you've described. We all have our own hate. We can't really jump beyond that unless we do spiritual practice. That is beyond duality. But you have to do that. Okay, so thank you very much. It's 8:45. I didn't expect it to go that long, but you're such a nice audience. So, yes, thank you.